And joining me to talk more about the addictive nature of what's called proposition betting is Travis Stearns, who's the clinical director for A Chance to Change Addiction Services. Now, just to explain this a little bit more, proposition betting is what? Something you always do online generally?
Usually it's done online, and it's anything that doesn't directly affect the outcome of the game.
Okay.
So it's usually side bets, like who's gonna, score the first touchdown, or who's gonna win the coin toss. So there's tons of little bets that go on all throughout the game that we don't even know about. Usually you think if they just win or lose, that's what the bet would be.
And this is more dangerous because it's not like you have to cook it if you're, a drug addict. You don't have to go down to a casino if you are a gambling addict in that type of addiction. This, all you have to do is sit in your house and look at your computer.
Yeah, or your phone. I mean, most of us get on the internet, on our phone every day. I mean, the last stat that I saw is we check our phones 150 times every day for the average person.
Wow.
So how do you know if the person across from you, your loved one, is doing gambling or doing something else? And what we find is that the hurt and the pain that it causes family members. I mean, I have a quote from a spouse, if I can read that. It says, "Gambling has caused you to lie, steal, deceive, and hurt me in ways that I never knew you were capable of. And I no longer feel like I have a partner in life anymore."
And it can ruin a marriage, it can ruin a family, it can ruin finances. You and I were chatting about the fact that gambling, when we read in the newspaper about political people being arrested or losing office because of embezzlement, you say most of the time it's because of a gambling addiction.
Yeah, I always look for the gambling right after I hear the news story on embezzling. So many times those are tied together because the person doesn't feel like they're stealing money at first. They're always going to pay it back. I'm just going to borrow this money for a little bit, I'm going to use it, and once I win big, I'm going to pay it back.
And then comes, excuse me, I'm so sorry, the time when they can't pay it back.
Right.
And you were saying that the number of requests for help are up by about 50%, but that represents a small percentage of the people who need help.
Right. The percentage of people that are actually getting help that are dealing with problem gambling are about 3% of the people that are actually suffering with this addiction.
Let's talk about some of the symptoms of gambling, how to know whether or not you're addicted. And some of those include, do you think often about betting? Do you plan your day around betting? Are you restless when you stop betting, or do you bet money you really can't afford to lose?
Right. Are you preoccupied with it? Is it on your thoughts a lot, right? So are you eating with your family, but you're really thinking about the scores of the game and who's going to win or what bets you could do?
Yes.
And so is it on your mind all these different times, or are you losing sleep? And I think a lot of those people think are normal, Oh, I'm just worried about it. I'm thinking about it because I have money on the line. But that's really a sign that it's probably invading other parts of your life. And if other people are recognizing that it's a problem, it probably is a problem.
Is this a more difficult addiction to deal with than, say, alcohol or drugs or some other addiction?
It definitely has unique aspects. One of the problems that we see with gambling is it does affect the family so much that we have to pull in family for treatment. And we have to actually limit their access to money or the internet. And to do that, it's much more easy to do when we have the family members on board. And there's some risks that are with gambling that are not with the alcohol and drugs, such as suicide risks are way up with gambling because they just got done with gambling. They might have gambled away their entire life savings, and they come home, and on that drive home, they're thinking of how this affects their family. They're coming down from their high, and then it hits them of how big this actually was, and that's when they're at risk.
There's so many things we can talk about, but if you'd like more information on addiction counseling and treatment, you can get a hold of chancetochange.org, or you can call 840-9000.